Hello everyone, hope you are all doing well. Today is November 25th, 2021. Let us discuss the important articles that you have to read in the Hindu newspaper for competitive exams. The first article for today is Center's Free Food Grain Scheme on till March. So this is in regards to the Union Cabinet meet that took place, and this is where they also discussed the repeal of three farm laws. So this is in regards to a food security aspect of it. From that perspective, you have to read this article, right? The next article for today is more hospital births but limited gains in childhood nutrition, NFHS. So this is again related to the food security aspect of it and nutrition aspect of it. So this is morely in regards to general GS paper 2 and paper 3. As far as the earlier article is GS paper 2. You have to remember the total fertility ratio that they are talking about here. For prelims perspective, that number is very significant. The third article is will you ban convicts from poll? SC asks government. Again GS2 article. And this is in regards to weeding out of corruption and convicts, that is people who have been found guilty of criminal acts from elections. From that perspective, very important, you have to remember the timeline of events, and you also have to be very aware of the list of decisions and landmark decisions by the Supreme Court of India in regards to removal of criminal convicts, that is either they have been accused of some crime or they have been found guilty of certain, mostly not guilty but certainly who are facing corruption charges or criminal charges against them. From that perspective, this article becomes very important. Now moving on to next page. Now coming to page number 6, that is editorial. The first article that you have to read is POCSO, PASCO, shocker. This is in regards to sexual offences being discussed and debated in court cases in Supreme Court or in High Courts. There has been a lot of back and forth between the High Courts of various states and the Supreme Court in regards to this act, and the way High Courts have been interpreting certain sections and portions of this act, which the Supreme Court found it to be troubling. This particular thing again is related to GS2. A lot of discussion has been taking place around sexual offences, particularly involving minors, and you have to be very careful and you have to remember the major judgments that were given by the Supreme Court in regards to child sexual offences. Now moving on to next article. Pointers that India is witnessing a K-shaped recovery. This is regarded to GS paper 3. This again directly related to our economic recovery. What are the factors, particularly when we were discussing in earlier sessions like this, we talked about V-shaped recovery and W-shaped recovery. Now we are talking about a K-shaped recovery. Please do be aware of what K-shaped recovery is, what parameters are involved in K-shaped recovery. From that perspective, very important. Now moving on to page number 3, op-ed. Now, two articles are important in this. One I failed to highlight. The first one is a food crisis of government's own making. What we have to consider in this article is not the data as much as, because this is again not related to India. This is related to the economic crisis that is brewing and currently experienced by the people of Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka. Again, a lot of data is not necessary for us. What you have to take out of this article is what are the factors that led to the current economic crisis, along with it the food crisis in the nation of Sri Lanka, our neighbor. Don't get into the data. You don't need the data. All you have to do is pick out few points as to the reasons for the current economic food crisis and financial crisis in Sri Lanka. Now moving on, a unified regulatory framework. Not that important. Two concepts are being discussed in this article. One is net neutrality. The second one is unisons between companies and regulatory operators, meaning regulators, like who is the regulator of telecom in India. From that perspective, you have to read this article. Now moving on to next page. Now coming to page number 8, India first responder in Indian Ocean region. So the article is again related to how Indian Ocean region is critical to Indian both soft power and military power, particularly navy. So this statement is again comes in the backdrop of Chinese assertive actions in the region, along the border, and along with other nations. So from that perspective, this article is just an informative article. Again, GS paper 2. Uh, be aware of what the ministry is saying here. Again, being aware is not a disadvantage in this exam. Now moving on, Bangladesh Pact example of mutual respect. This statement at this point of time, given the current tensions between Bangladesh and India, not only in regards to border dispute, but also uh, in regards to the attacks that are taking place on the Hindu community, minority Hindu community in Bangladesh, had made a lot of uh, whatever you call uneasy situation brewing between both of our countries. So there are a lot of issues that are happening, that are currently at play between both of our countries. So this statement at this point of time, again GS paper 2, comes at this critical juncture. So be aware of what our military forces are saying in regards to that situation. Coming to page number 10, private vaccine stocks near expiry date. So this is again a just informative article. From exam point of view, I don't see much of an importance. Just be aware of what their expiry date, stocks nearing expiry date mean. Apart from it, if you want, you can skip this article. Moving on, center raises concern over fall in COVID-19 testing rates. This is very important because of the resurgence of COVID-19 in European countries and the issues that the European countries are facing right now. On that same record, India is also reporting less number of COVID cases on a daily basis. Along with it, the testing numbers have also gone down. So that does not bode well for our country in the current climate, with the COVID-19 ravaging again in Europe. This is GS paper 2 article. Awareness is important in regards to COVID-19 and the center-state relations in this regard. So from that perspective, you have to read this article. Now moving on to next. Tension brewing on Assam Arunachal border. So this is going to play a key role in the future of northeastern states. You have a state in Assam where the government of Assam is actively pursuing to amicably settle border disputes with its sister states. Remember, Assam shares border with almost all of northeastern states, and with almost all of the northeastern states, Assam has some sort of a border issue where the other states feels that they have more territory that is being occupied by the state of Assam. Again, the peace of northeastern states is of utmost importance given the current climatic conditions with our neighbors, both externally and also internally in these respective northeastern states. Any border tension between sister states is not a welcome sign for not only national security but also the entire region. Because remember, on either side of our country right now, the situations are very tenuous. In that regard, this article is not only related to the state by state relations between Assam and its sister states, but also with national security and internal security. That is why you have to be very careful in this article. You have to follow this article. Again, paper 2, GS paper 2. Now moving on to page number 11. Chinese firm eyes Afghanistan's lithium. This is GS paper 1. and GS paper 2 article. Very important, very important in regards to the future aspirations of the Chinese state in Afghanistan. How they are trying to exploit the people of Afghanistan by using Taliban as a proxy to gain access to natural resources of Afghanistan. From that perspective, very important. Again, China at play here. GS paper 2 article. Sri Lanka cabinet clears China's role in terminal projects. Two things: how it is going to impact India in terms of Indo-Lanka relations, both financially and security wise. From that perspective, please read this article. US President invites Taiwan to online meet on democracy. What is important here is invitation of the US President himself to Taiwan. Read about the American policy on Taiwan. Learn what was the policy and why they intend to change this. From that perspective, very important. Please do read this article in that regard. Now coming to business, page number 12. Center's cryptocurrency ban plan set to spur heavy selling. Sorry, not shelling, selling. Again related to GS paper 3, right? Economy. So you have to read this, what cryptocurrency is, what has been the government policy, and why the government is changing its policy in regards to cryptocurrency, and how it is going to impact the overall ecosystem of cryptocurrency in our country and also the world. Survey suggests 71% have low or no trust in cryptocurrency. Read what are the factors that they are attributing as to reasons for not having trust in cryptocurrency, while we are seeing large scale adoption of cryptocurrency in other countries. From that perspective, very important. So these are the important articles that you have to read in the Hindu newspaper for competitive examinations. Please do subscribe to the channel. Thank you.